Okay, everyone. Now that we saw the type of game we're going to try and make, or going to make, um, let's start up Adobe Flash and start a brand new file. So we're not starting with anything as a base game or as a beginning file. We're going to start our own file right from scratch. If you don't get this startup screen where you can click ActionScript 3.0, you can always go to File New and choose ActionScript 3.0 from here. The width is 550 by 400, and that's what we're going to be using. If you click here, and for some reason you do not get 550 by 400, you can click the wrench here and change it here. 550 pixels wide by 400 pixels height. Okay, mine started off like that, so I'm just going to choose cancel. And now I have a blank Adobe Flash uh, project file that I'm going to make my game in. Before I do anything, I'm going to save this. So I'm going to do File, Save As. And if you haven't already, which you probably haven't since we're just starting this, we're going to make a new folder. I've already made one. I called it Mr. G Shooter Game. You guys should make the same file. Use your name, Shooter Game. Save it on your Z drive or whatever it is you're supposed to save, or wherever it is you normally and should be saving all of your files. So you're going to make a folder here in which to save all the files that you work on for this game. So we're not just going to have an Adobe Flash file, we're going to have also Photoshop files and images and sound files and all the good stuff we're going to use to make our game. So I'm going to name this the same thing as my folder, actually. Mr. G Shooter Game. And don't worry about this popping up down here. I have that first recording file is there as well. So that's why it's coming up like that. But Mr. G Shooter Game, and then save. You guys name it your name, Shooter Game. Save it in the folder you made for your name, Shooter Game. And then we're off and running. So the first thing we want to do is put in a different background. So we're going to go to Google and we're going to search. Now, given that this is making this video right now, December 2015, one of the newer games that came out, whether you like it or not, Black Ops 3. Um, I like playing Call of Duty games, so I'm going to do a whole Black Ops 3 theme to my game. So I'm searching for that, and I don't want all the news and information, I just want images. So I'm going to click here. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time finding an image. You guys can find the most perfect one you ever liked for whatever theme you're going to use, but I'm just going to click this one right here. Now you should always not click on this, and first of all, when you click on that image that you want right here, notice it tells me the size 1920 by 1080. You want it to be bigger than the size you're going to use, which is 550 by 400 in our Flash project. So if it's real close to that, is good. If it's any bigger, that's fine. If it's much smaller than that, no good, because when it stretches, it's going to get blurry. So first thing you do is click on this thumbnail. So little pictures that are linked to other things are called thumbnails. You click on that. Now you can save this picture, and for our game it would probably work okay because it's pretty big right here. Sorry about that. That has something to do with my recording program. Sorry. Um, you can click on this, you can save this picture right here, but rather than do that, I like to show people always click View Image. And the reason for that is you always want the biggest image you can get. So here's the biggest, clearest image we have of this image that they've posted. It's basically the size of my screen. The only reason why I have to scroll a little bit is because they're inside a browser and you have these scroll bars cutting off some of the sides of your screen. So then you right click, save image as, and I'm not going to save it to my downloads. I'm going to go to the folder that I created for everything for this game, and I'm going to save it there. Okay, once it's done, I'm going to go and open it in Photoshop. So I'm going to right click on it, open with Photoshop. And then I'm going to go to Image, Resize, or Image Size. And we're going to resize it. Notice it was 1920 by 1080, kind of the standard size for a monitor nowadays, monitor image. I'm going to change this width to 550. And right now you can see this little lock right here means it's going to keep the aspect ratio. So if I do 550, notice my height's only 309, so the width and height of this picture is not quite the same as my game size, but that's okay. Rather than shrink it down too much, I'm going to make this 400, and notice the width goes up a bit, but that's okay. We're going to leave it like that. So I'm going to say okay. All that means is when I put it in my game, it's going to get squished a little bit and not look so perfect, but it's only a little, so you're probably not going to even tell. So now I'm going to save this. When I go to save as, notice because I downloaded a JPEG from the internet, it wants to resave it as a JPEG, and I don't want that. I always want a Photoshop file. In this instance, not a big deal, but later on we'll see it could be a big deal. So we're going to always choose Photoshop off the list here, and then we could rename it if we want. So I'm just going to call it Shooter Game Background and save it in my Shooter Game folder. I didn't have to rename it, I just felt like doing it. Okay, now once that's saved, I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back to Adobe Flash, File, Import. When they say to stage, if you import it to stage, it puts it in the library and automatically drops it on the stage. I don't really feel like doing that because I just don't like doing it that way. So always import to library, because who knows, maybe I want it on a different layer and I've chosen the wrong layer or whatever. So I put it into the library first and then I figure out what I'm going to do with it. So we're going to go to Documents, my shooter game. Here's my shooter game background. I open that. Sometimes it takes a while and sometimes it's fast, so it's there already. And over here we have our layers, and I know I'm going to have a background layer, but I also know I'm going to have an actions layer. So before I even bring that in, let's make sure I'm putting it on the layer I want. So first I'm going to make a new layer, and then this layer I'm going to rename by double clicking on the word and then calling it actions. And then this layer I'm going to rename, just call it BG for background. So now I know I want this background dragged onto the background layer, not the actions layer, obviously. For some reason it brought it in as a symbol, as a picture, and as a symbol, meaning one's just the picture file and one it converted to a symbol. I don't have a really good answer for why sometimes it does that and other times it doesn't, but this isn't even the type of symbol we want, because this is a graphic symbol and we want a movie clip symbol. So anyway, I'm going to drag this onto the screen. I'm going to use the picture one, not the symbol that it brought in. And then once it's here, to get it to be the perfect size of the stage, you could resize it using your free transform tool and try and get it close and move it around all manually. But there's a much better way. If you click this button over here, which is the alignment panel, okay, once you have that open, make sure this is checked, aligned to stage, because obviously that's what we want it aligned to. Over here we can match the width and height in one shot, and you're going to see it squishes down a little bit. Maybe it looks a little goofy, but I don't really think so. And then I want it aligned left and right, so I'm going to align the right edge. I mean, you could align the left edge. Now that it's matched the size, it really doesn't matter, because if I align the left edge, the right edge is going to be aligned as well. And then same thing here, up and down. So now it's perfectly on the stage. I can go back, and this symbol right here I don't need, so if I click on that and then click the garbage pail, that symbol goes away. I only have this one, but not this. I have this picture, but it's not a symbol. So on this one I want to make a symbol out of this. Modify, convert to symbol. And see, we don't want it to be a button or a graphic. We always want a movie clip symbol. So I'm going to make sure it's on movie clip. Over here I'm going to call it background. And the name of it really isn't that important. I'm not going to use it in any code, so I don't have to export it. It's not like a class or anything like that. So I'm just going to say OK. However, now that it's a movie clip symbol, I do want to name it. So, and I don't know if in my code I'm going to use this or not, but while I'm here I'm going to name it anyway. And the convention is BG underscore MC. Could name it anything you want, but that's what we're kind of familiar with other coding that we've done, so I might as well call it that. and hit enter. And now I have a symbol as a background on my stage. I have my 2 layers, background and actions. I may be using some more layers later. I might be adding them, but at least I know I have the 2 that I want. And I have my background already named as BG_MC in case I want to use that in my code. So right now we're set up with our background. The next video we're going to do is create a custom cursor because we don't really want to see the mouse cursor on the screen. We want to see like some sort of gun sight cursor, and that'll be the next video.